Hello and welcome if you're new to my channel, and if you're a subscriber, a warm welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about two new concessions that recently opened in Harrods off the back of the latest lockdown we've just been through. Their opening is particularly noteworthy and significant, not only for Harrods, but also the two brands, and they are Loewe and Hermès Femme. I'm Anesu Sagonda and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things. So whether you're somebody who's young and starting out and wanting to reap the benefits of buying quality from the get-go, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on the brands that are very much under the radar and heavily weighted on quality, then my content is very much geared towards you. Before I start, I'm going to talk a little about Harrods' history in order to give context to this video. Harrods was founded in 1849 and then fast forward to 1985, and it was bought by a hugely successful Egyptian businessman, Mohammed Al Fayed, and he owned the store from 1985 through to 2010. And in that time, he operated Harrods very much as a spectacle. It was all about the show. He would host the most spectacular events, exhibitions. The products and services you found in Harrods had the huge wow factor. And he was a showman, and he ran Harrods as a show. And he built it up into what it's arguably now known as, and still is, the most famous department store. It's off some of that legacy of Mohammed Al Fayed. And then in 2010, he decided he wanted to slow down and just reap the benefits, enjoy his hard work and retire and focus more on his family. And he sold Harrods to the Qatari Investment Authority. And the Qatari Investment Authority is the sovereign wealth fund for the state, the nation of Qatar. And for those who don't know, a sovereign wealth fund essentially is a state-led investment fund. They invest a country's excess capital. And the sovereign wealth fund will invest these funds in order to stabilize the economy by diversification. So you have your high risk, high return investments, your low risk, low return, and also to generate additional wealth for future generations. That's what a sovereign wealth fund in a very loose format does. And when the Qatari Investment Authority bought Harrods from Mr. Al Fayed, they knew the potential that Harrods had. It was a very well-known top department store in the world, and it had a lot of potential. And they didn't want to run it as a spectacle as such, but they wanted to focus on building it into a lean, mean money-making machine that would give them the high returns they invested in it for. And what they did is, in 2017, they announced a major redevelopment. They pumped in £200 million. And what that involved was pretty much renovating every single part of the store, but in different phases. This is still going on. It was forecasted to have lasted about 3 years, but it's still ongoing because of the pandemic. And what they wanted to do was just ensure that Harrods was at the very top. When you think of top department stores in the world, you have a lot of competition. You have Isetan in Tokyo, for example, La Rinascente in Florence. In Paris, you have Le Bon Marché, Galeria Fayette, Bergdorf Goodman's in the United States. You have Cardevet in Berlin, for example. Those are just some of the examples. And of course, Selfridges in the United Kingdom. But when the Qataris invested into Harrods, they wanted to make sure that they would build it into the very best. When you think of top department stores in the world, they wanted to ensure that Harrods was right at the top, and that the money they invested into it, which was rumored to be about £1.5 billion, was going to make a lot of money for them to then pump into their sovereign wealth fund for the benefit of future generations of Qataris. I mean, when you look at Qataris, for example, they're one state that I can say I've never met anybody from Qatar who's poor. The benefit system, standard of living is very high in Qatar, and it comes off the back of investments from the sovereign wealth fund. They currently have just a little over 1 million square feet of retail space in Harrods. And over the last 3 years, they've ensured that every single part of that store looks amazing. And in doing that, it ensures, almost guarantees if you can, there are no done deals in life, but it helps them pave the way for millions of tourists to continue to stream through Harrods, tourists and also consumers. And that when a brand thinks of opening a concession anywhere in the world, not just London, their first port of call, their first choice is typically Harrods. And when you look at these two brands that I've mentioned, Hermès Femme and Loewe. Hermès Femme, for example, this is the first and only Hermès Femme in the world. Hermès, as I've mentioned in a number of videos, sets the pace and tone of what is luxury in this world. They could have opened their first female store anywhere, whether it was Paris, New York, Milan, even Asia, where Hermès is hugely popular. But they went for Harrods, and that in itself is hugely telling because they're confident of the quality and numbers of footfall coming into the store, and also the infrastructure, the space that is there available for them to exhibit their wares. And then you have Loewe, and Loewe I most recently mentioned in the hierarchy of handbag, the affordable luxury series. I'm going to attach that above. And I specifically mentioned that Loewe is Spain's most distinguished brand. And one thing I cannot understand, even to date, why this brand is so sleepy. You don't see or hear of it outside of Spain. And when you do, the brand is almost synonymous with their puzzle bag, nothing else. But they produce a lot of other amazing products across the board, from lifestyle to ready-to-wear, fashion accessories, homeware. They do everything, and they do it very well to a high standard. And they're now at a point where Bottega Veneta was 4 or 5 years ago when Daniel Lee came on board, and he worked hard to get Bottega out in the front. He designed the pouch, and now Bottega is very well known, highly respected, and the pouch is the best-selling handbag for Kering. And Loewe, to me, is doing what Bottega have done, that they are starting to slowly come up. They want to become a lot more visible, a lot more known, and they're now strategically positioning themselves, opening a concession in Harrods. They have a pop-up for 5 months, and I can guarantee you, if that concession does well, there's no reason why they won't continue and ensure that space is permanently Loewe's. They've assigned a huge space to them, and it's putting them in front of millions of tourists once the pandemic starts to lift and people start traveling again. But the fact that Loewe chose, of all the places in the world, London, and in particular Harrods, is telling of their confidence in the Harrods brand to help them elevate their brand. There are 10 different entrances into Harrods, and each entrance comes through to a different product area. So for example, door 10 is fine jewelry. You have door 7 straight into Hermès accessories in front of you. You have door 4, which is the main drop-off point for people who typically come in your chauffeur-driven cars, and it's also the area in which most of your supercars, when they are in central London, that is where they typically park. Door 9 is also another great drop-off point. But door 4 leads into, it's the main entrance into the beauty halls. I had about half an hour to spare, so I thought, let me slip in through door 5. Door 5 has 2 options. You can either use the escalators to go up or down, or if you carry on ahead of you, it's the niche, your more niche beauty brands, and then onto the food halls. But I thought, I've got half an hour, so I'll spend 10 minutes on the first floor, 10 minutes on the 4th floor, and then the remaining 10 minutes downstairs, ground floor, get something to eat, and then just have a quick whiz round to see what has changed. And as I came up the escalator, I typically turn left when I use door 5 escalator. As I was turning left towards the super brand section with your Chanel, Louis Vuitton, and Valentino, my eye caught a Loewe sign to the right as I was turning left. So I turned right to take a look at the Loewe sign, and noticed there was actually a new Loewe concession ahead of me. And the concession had a big sign, and in front was a huge archway with different straw bags. And straw bags have been on my radar for the longest time, but I didn't want to buy a bag just for the sake of it. I actually wanted to take my time to really look for something and buy something that I really liked, as opposed to just buying something to fill a gap. As I walked towards Loewe, immediately to my right, I noticed another new concession, Hermès ready-to-wear. You're met literally by a team of sales assistants, and one very quickly explained to me that this is Hermès Femme, the first and only Hermès Femme or Hermès store dedicated to women. And that is women's shoes, you've got ready to wear, you have fine jewelry, and you have fashion accessories. It's an impressive concession. First of all, the thing you notice first and foremost is just the amount of natural light. The Hermès concession, together with the pop-up section, ground floor, as you come in through door 9, the second pickup drop-off point that I mentioned, you have floor-to-ceiling window that runs for about maybe 20-30 meters to the left as you walk into the store. That is typically a pop-up space for brands, and brands either are resident there for a week, a couple of months, whatever it may be, depending on what their exhibition is. That and the Hermès concession farm are the only places with natural light, and it makes such a difference. So back to Hermès. You come in, you're met by the most knowledgeable professional staff. And what they've done for the opening of this new concession is they've recruited experienced staff from their more established concessions. So think of Bond Street and Sloane Street. And they've come in to ensure a soft landing. So they're coming in with the high level of Hermès professionalism as well as the knowledge. So you come in, to the right, you have the women's wear section for your shoes, women's shoes. And they have pretty much all the different styles of shoes that Hermès do for women. Behind that, you have a room with a mixture of your more casual. So think of your swimwear and also your beachwear. And they have an exclusive kaftan for this opening, for the particular Harrods opening. And in that, they also have fine jewelry, and they've handpicked a selection of the most popular fine jewelry pieces. And then next to that section, you then get the back of the front of the store, and they have the most beautiful, the most spectacular art deco window, which you wouldn't have even have known about. But because they've allowed natural light, they've exposed the wall that was in front of that, and you have the light streaming in through the art deco windows, and that room is a wide open room with a lot of seating space. They also have some of the fine jewelry, and then to the left they have Hermès beauty, your lipsticks and so forth. And that section you can sit down and wait for an appointment, or if you're with someone and you just want to relax, or wait for your next store that you're going to. They have someone on hand with refreshments or just to talk. Great space. That particular Art Deco room with the Art Deco window overlooks Hans Crescent. So that back wall with Hermès, and then next to that Loewe, all of that space runs from door 4, the drop-off point for your chauffeur-driven cars. I'm going to insert maps just to give you an idea of escalators and also where everything is in relation. But some of the product groups have moved. And there isn't yet an up-to-date map, but just to give you an idea of where everything is in terms of the roads and the escalators and so forth. So the Hermès and Loewe runs from door 4, door 5 in the middle, and then you've got the door 6, which is at the top, where the top of Loewe is, and that is the entrance on Brompton Road. It's also directly opposite Zara, which is a major landmark in Knightsbridge, and it's also right next to the tube station, Knightsbridge tube station. So you come in, as I said, you've got the Art Deco room, you can sit in there, you have beauty, you also have fine jewelry. Next to that is another little cove, similar to the other side with your beachwear and your swimwear, a ready-to-wear room. A room with a lot of space. So if you want a more discreet, a more private experience, that room is fantastic. They have ready to wear in there, and they also have fitting rooms just off there. So you can actually slip into that concession and nobody sees you at all. Next to that, you're coming to the front of the store again. You have to the left, ready to wear, you have fashion accessories, so think of your scarves. You also have another exclusive piece for this opening, a Midor diamond encrusted watch. And then in the middle of this concession, you have glass case, and that glass case is literally to showcase what they call their show bags. And their show bags are not their most popular or well-known bags. It's bags that are produced by Hermès purely for the craftsmanship, for the quality, for the prestige, and just to uphold Hermès and the standard and the different range of styles that they produce. And they have two particular bags that were created, that was styled for this opening. The first is a crossbody. Comes in a range of your candy colors, and it's priced at just under £4,000. Think of the Celine box classic bag. It's very similar to that. It's a competitor to that. Comes in candy colors, as I mentioned, and it's more towards a medium size. So it's a bag you can use for the whole day. Fit in your watch, a small wallet, maybe lipstick, a couple of bits for the day. You'll be comfortably covered. They can be contained in that bag. The other style is more your handbag, an everyday handbag, and it's called the Simone, priced at £8,000. So it's in the league of your Kelly and your Birkin. It's a shoulder bag, comes in classic colors. So it's the black, I think it comes in gold, and also rouge ash as well. And it has a strap that can either be worn as just a single over-the-shoulder strap, or you can double it and hold it as two straps, whichever one you prefer. But two very different styles created for this opening. But the beauty of this concession is it's focused entirely on farm. It's the first, it's the only in London and the world. The range of product in there, incredibly professional staff who are knowledgeable. But what you also get is an appointment system. You can make an appointment so you don't have to wait. But regardless, even during peak times, that particular concession is not as busy as the accessories section downstairs. Downstairs, they've opened a brand new accessories section as well. So a lot has happened around Hermès in Harrods. And that's just a reflection of how much money they're making, and therefore they've doubled the amount of space that they had. So before the lockdown, Hermès just had same amount of space, a wall's length, as any other brand, but now they've been given two wall lengths. So they have the size of Prada, what was Prada and what was Gucci concessions. So they have a double space, and they pretty much have doubled the products that they have. So they still have your handbags, they have jewelry, your fashion accessories. So you have bangles, you have bracelets, you have belts, you have scarves, you have everything going in there. But there is a massive queue. You can queue easily for over an hour. And you can come in through door 7, which makes it easier. You just come in and you're straight in front of there. But the queuing system is horrendous. But what I did learn from the first floor is that you can make an appointment and then they can escort you down when it's time for your appointment. So you don't actually have to queue. But I'm sure if you're a customer with the right kind of spend, they can bring some of the products up to, I'm sure, Hermès Femme in time. But the Hermès Femme is fantastic, as I mentioned, for the farm clothes. You have the accessories, which is absolutely everything Hermès does. Very good stock levels and a good range of styles going on down there. But they can also bring in stuff if they don't have the color of a particular scarf or whatever it is you're looking for. It can be transferred in if possible. So you have the accessories section on the ground floor. You also have now the concession, the Hermès Femme, on the first floor. Next to that, you come out and you turn right. And straight ahead of you is the new Loewe concession. It's actually a pop-up for the next 5 months, but I don't see them not continuing it. They have all the ingredients to make this work. And Loewe is making a huge push to raise their profile, raise their visibility. And things can only get better for them. They're going about it the right way. You come in, as I mentioned, huge archway of straw bags, and they have collaborated with a number of artisans around the world. So they have your shaggy straw bags made from raffia from Madagascar. They have your finer weave made from elephant leaf in Kenya. And then they have the Erica palm, which they're a bit low on stock, but they'll get more bags from Morocco. And then they have the palm bags, the palm grass bags made by local Spanish artisans. Huge selection of bags for you to choose from, very well made, and a diverse selection of styles, sizes and weaves. And then you walk into the concession and you'll notice straight away a lot of ready-to-wear, something that you may never have seen unless you were in Spain. They do have a branch in Bond Street, but in this particular one, every single year since 2017, Loewe has collaborated with Paula's Boutique. And Paula's Boutique is a legendary store in Ibiza. It's actually a mecca for the whole hippie lifestyle, culture, atmosphere, vibe, attitude. It was a boutique that was opened in the 70s, and it was focused very much around the hippie lifestyle, around hippies. And the focus was on producing clothes that were very heavy on the floral print. They would also have your Ibiza animals. So think of your parrots, think of lizards, very, very colorful, heavy on the color. And the creative director from Loewe, Jonathan Anderson, he has two brands. He very confidently creates ready-to-wear, creates products for every year. And the brands that he's behind are very different. Loewe, for example, is very much focused on your refined aesthetic. The clothes are very simple, they're classic, they're refined in the look and the feel. Emphasis is very much on your earthy colors. So think of your creams, think of your browns. Those are the colors, very simple styles. You get a shirt, very slight quirk to it. So one side may be slightly longer than the other side. But other than that, there isn't much. It's just about the quality of the construction, the material used, how it's made. You're just buying into a very simple, well-made, muted colors. But with the collaboration with Paula's Boutique that started in 2017, they've done it every year. It's been hugely successful and getting better and better every year. It's just their way of elevating their brand, increasing visibility. And Jonathan Anderson, when he was younger, he would go to Ibiza every year and he would go to Paula's Boutique, and he loved his experience at Paula's Boutique, and that's how he ended up collaborating with them. He could appreciate, he liked, he admired the whole lifestyle culture that was created around this hippie inspired boutique. And the owners of Paula's Boutique gave Jonathan access to the colors, the textures, the prints, designs from the archives, which he is now has revived, and he is producing different collections every year and doing fantastically well on the back of that. And particularly this year, there's been so much press coverage. Stylists, your fashion editors, consumers love this new collaboration. And it's a change. It's a move away from what everybody associates and knows as the typical Loewe, the refined aesthetic. It's classy, it's simple, the earthy tones. Paula's Boutique has just brought in a different and very welcome dimension, which is just helping raise the visibility. And in addition to that collaboration, they've also added jewelry. So you have jewelry inspired by moons and stars. You have the sun. You have gold and silver pieces, all modeled around Paula's Boutique. But in addition to the ready-to-wear collaboration and some of the jewelry, they have some of the core pieces from Loewe. So think of, for example, the shoes, a huge selection of their shoes, their trainers. They also have their homeware. So think of your earthenware plates and bowls. They also have their lifestyle products. They have your perfumes, your fragrances. They also have the most beautiful candles, all around very simple, everyday fragrances. And one thing that I mentioned in a previous video, gift ideas, where I talked about Sarah Trudon candles, I'm going to attach that above. And when you have, whether it's fragrances or candles made from very high quality products, you ultimately end up with a product that's very refined and specific. So refined in terms of the smell is not overpowering, it's not nauseating, it's very specific. You can tell exactly what it is without it being too strong. And it just smells beautiful and it burns very subtly. It's not an overpowering fragrance that diffuses. So they have they have the fragrances, they have candles, they have sunglasses, they have shoes, they have Paula's Boutique ready to wear, they have the straw bags, they have absolutely everything that Loewe produces in this pop-up. And the pop-up is a good size. I would say possibly the size of a quarter of the size of a football pitch, but it's not just one solid space. It's different little sections brought together. And in addition, they also have a meditation room. And that meditation room has music that has been created by DJs that have done residences on Ibiza at one summer or another during the course of the last few years. But it's a fantastic concession that represents everything that Loewe does very well. There's a good range of styles, of colors, of size options. It is absolutely spectacular, and this is a very good introduction if you're not aware of everything else that Loewe does in addition to the puzzle bag. They also have the puzzle bag in there as well as some of their other handbags, but it's just everything Loewe does. And I would be so shocked if it didn't do well, and if Loewe actually doesn't become a concession, a permanent concession after this 5-month pop-up. They've had a lengthy period of time, good time of the year. In the summer, things are starting to open up in the United Kingdom, so more and more people will be able to come and spend in the concession. But 2 amazing concessions. The brands have chosen a phenomenal base, Harrods, that is totally cranked up over the last couple of years. Its digital platform, the technology, infrastructure in the store, the quality of consumers that come in, the tourists. They appreciate the products, the services, the brands that are in there, the makings of a fantastic experience for both brands. I'm excited to see how it all unfolds, what happens over the coming months and years, and also what other developments happen in Harrods. But let me know in the comments, what do you think of the 2 new concessions? Take a look for the experience, if not to buy. Let me know. Do share this video with anybody interested in luxury, somebody who's into Loewe, who's into Hermès, particularly into the ready-to-wear and the additional stuff that they do. Just let them know that there's now this new concession and you can bypass the lengthy queues downstairs. As always, do subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.